Today on Inside Utah Politics, two Democratic candidates are vying for the party's nomination in Utah's 1st Congressional District. Both of them are here to explain why they want the opportunity to take on Representative Bishop in November. And an historic summit with North Korea as President Trump and Kim Jong-un come face to face. So what can we expect from their relationship moving forward? Our panel weighs in.
Time now for Inside Utah Politics.
Good Sunday morning, and thanks so much for joining us for Inside Utah Politics. I'm Glenn Mills. This morning, we are checking in with the candidates for the Democratic primary in the 1st Congressional District. We begin with Lee Castillo. Lee, welcome to the show. Thanks so much for being here. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, Glenn.
You bet. Let's start off with your background. Tell us a little bit about who you are and what you bring to the table as a candidate.
I'm born and raised in Layton, Utah. I currently reside in the district. I'm 40 years old. I am a single father to an adopted son. I am a clinician at the Utah State Hospital, where I work with inmates who have been deemed incompetent to proceed with their trials, and I help them restore competency.
What about from a political element? Is this your first run at office?
Yes, sir. This is my first run. I felt a calling to step in because of the divisive rhetoric that was going on in Washington, and that drew me to enter the race. We have a president who was, and his administration that was actively disparaging women, making disparaging comments about women, Hispanics, people with disabilities, and I had to take a stand against it.
So over that time, you took a look at that situation and thought, I need to run for office. That's what drew you in.
That's what drew me in, because I wanted to respond to that divisive rhetoric in love. I'm a clinician for Utah State Hospital again, and we social workers are we're people. Persons.
Have you done any politics on another level, like gotten involved in neighborhood associations, been involved with city council, anything like that?
No, sir. I am the most.
All right, so jumping right into the congressional race.
Yes, sir.
All right, sounds good. Let's talk about some of the big topics that you are campaigning on. One of them is healthcare, of course, a huge issue right now. What are some of your main concerns as you take a look at healthcare and where it might be going into the future?
So I think healthcare is it's a human right. I think that everybody deserves healthcare. As a congressman, if I'm elected, if I get healthcare, great. Healthcare, I think everybody deserves that. I would
support. So you're talking something like universal healthcare?
Universal healthcare, and there is a bill currently in the House and Senate that I would vote yes on, that would allow for the government option.
If it were to go that route, how would you pay for it? What are the ways you could look at in making sure that it's funded? So
that goes into our tax conversation. I think that our president has, and our congressmen have, they've created a tax plan that has benefited the top 1% and corporations, and that is something that does not expire. Whereas for taxes for the—
So you're referring to the most recent tax reform?
Yes, sir. And so I would change that and ensure that those taxes are fair, and that the middle class would also have. I think that it should be. We should repeal the taxes for the 1%, the tax cuts for the 1% and the wealthy and the corporations, and allow that middle class to have that, and then with that surplus of the taxes, utilize that to fund the government program.
Sticking with healthcare, universal healthcare, I think it's fair to say, is a long shot here in the United States. So, of the system and how it exists today, what would you like to see done?
What I would like to see done is that I'd like to see Bernie Sanders' bill passed.
Do you believe that's feasible and that it could
I
potentially
do.
happen?
We have over 100 people in Congress that have co-sponsored the bill, and so I think we're on the verge of Medicare for all.
You know that pre-existing conditions have come under fire. Are you concerned about what you're hearing along those lines in Washington?
I think that it is disheartening to think that insurance companies could discriminating against people who have a pre-existing condition. I would advocate that part of the Affordable Health Care Act would remain. I think there were some good pieces to it, although there was a lot of work that needed to be done.
Immigration also a hot topic in Washington, something they're looking at very seriously right now. Your thoughts there and what you would like to see happen?
So I think that it's been a travesty to watch what's happening recently. Jeff Sessions has a 0% tolerance of people coming over the border, and that has not only devastated families and ripped kids from their parents, but it's also clogged our court systems, and it has robbed the immigrants of their due process.
Do you favor a clear path to citizenship for those that are in the country right now? I
do. I think that we should, I support DACA, and I think we need to keep the promise to the dreamers.
Outside of DACA, should there be a clear path to citizenship?
Absolutely. I think that we should have an opportunity for people who have been here, who have been putting their wages, working hard, and being people that contribute in our society, that they should deserve an opportunity to be and live the American dream.
The primary election coming up quick. What's the main difference between you and your opponent that you would want to make a pitch to primary voters?
So I think that we need to do something different. We've lost the races. This seat used to be a Democratic seat. We can't do the same play. We need young blood. We need somebody who listens. I'm a social worker. I have a master's degree from the University of Utah. I am trained to listen and then to find a solution, whereas my opponent is not.
It's been a long time since a Democrat has held that seat. Going into November, how do you make yourself a legitimate candidate against an incumbent?
So I have already begun. We've activated populations throughout District 1 that have been disenfranchised, minority populations that within Ogden, within Clearfield, and we've been registering these people, and they're going to be part of the active voters. So we have an opportunity if and when we make it out of the primary.
All right, Lee Castillo, best of luck. We'll see what happens here in a little bit. Appreciate having you on the show. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You bet. Coming up, we're going to hear from Castillo's opponent, Kurt Weiland. That'll be right after the break. Make sure to stay with us.